Members and guests, His Excellency the Governor-General of Canada, His Honourable Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, and the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. Pray be seated. I would like to call upon the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, the Honourable David Warner, to say a few words of welcome. Speaker.
Your Excellency, Your Honour, Chief Peters, Mr. Premier, Leader of the Official Opposition, Leader of the Third Party, members of the 35th Parliament, special guests, and groups in the galleries. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you all today to mark another special event in the history of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. This is the second time in the last 2 weeks we have all participated in a special parliamentary event here in the Legislative Building. In this International Year of Indigenous People, I would like to especially recognize the participation and support of Mr. Gordon Peters, Ontario Regional Chief, Assembly of First Nations, in this ceremony, and Elder Bruce Elijah. The granting of letters patent and a coat of arms is a unique occasion. With this ceremony, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario becomes the first legislature in Canada to have its own symbol, separate from that of a provincial government. While a coat of arms for Ontario was granted by royal warrant in 1868 and 1909, the one we are receiving today at the Legislative Assembly was developed over the last 10 years. The suggestion for a distinct coat of arms for the Legislative Assembly was made in the late 1970s. Former Clerk's Assistant Smurl Forsyth initiated inquiries about the creation of such a piece in the early 1980s, and he did a great deal of work with Conrad Swan, Esquire, the York Herald of Arms and Registrar of the College of Arms during this period. I wish he could be participating here today with us, but our thoughts are with you, Smurl. I would like to recognize the support of the former speakers for this idea and their ongoing encouragement to have created a special identity piece for the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. A special thank you goes to His Excellency, the Right Honourable Ramon John Hnatyshyn, Canada's Governor-General. As head of the Canadian Heraldic Authority, he has been supportive of this initiative, and I especially thank him for seeking permission of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II to use the crown in the new symbol. The Canadian Heraldic Authority was established by the Governor-General in June 1988 under powers granted by royal letters patent received from Her Majesty. Canada is the first country in the Commonwealth outside the United Kingdom to exercise this ancient royal prerogative in its own domain. You all have a copy of the letters patent and the symbolism of the new coat of arms. Brought to the clerk's table this morning were three components of the new coat of arms: the original mace from the time of the first Parliament in Ontario, 1792, the calumet, a native pipe which symbolized the meeting and spirit of discussion which the First Peoples believe accompanies the use of the pipe and the current mace, the traditional symbol of authority of the Speaker. This is a special historic moment for the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. With this proclamation, we here have forged a link with our past and start a new tradition. As Speaker of the 35th Parliament of Ontario, I am honoured to be part of this special ceremony. Through this coat of arms, this grant of honour from the Crown, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario celebrates its history, its special identity, and its aspirations.
Thank you, Speaker. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you, members and guests, Mr. Gordon Peters, Ontario Regional Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, and Elder Bruce Elijah. Gentlemen.
Dada jijala to de ko de hela doni ji odon na ga to ni sla de ne ji nyoti ne so da ta lo lo ga de ga chak khon da we te go ha go ni nen ha ngwala ne go nen hondon gwa ya de sauti dam ha de ga ne ga go ni sk no go ne kon tin wa ta ko ga do ha ga ne sk no go china de da ga ta ne ta ga na go na go. In our teachings, we bring you greetings, as at the beginning of time when our peoples first met. We bring you the condolences that we take a soft white hide and we clean your eyes so you can see where you come from. You can see where you're at. And you can see where you're going. We also take symbolically that water that in every species of life needs to survive. We offer that water to you to clean your throat so that that lump in your throat, whether it's through anger or hate or frustration, that you'll be able to speak to each other in an honorable way, that you use soft words, in the words that you would speak to the Creator Himself, as He has spoken to us with these instructions. We share that with you. We take the white eagle feather and we clean your ears so you can hear life. You can hear the earth, the mother, this land that we walk on. You can hear those instructions way back then, before there was human beings, when those natural life, those beings stepped forward and said, in time there will be human beings and we will give ourselves so that that life can continue. But in return, that they would honor us and that they would help us to survive so that the future generations can also benefit. That's what we mean when we say we live in balance with life. For we are the last species to come into this world. And at the rate we're going, we'll be the first ones to leave. So with this new coat of arms, we want to say that we hope that in governing your people, we hope that not only do you listen to the people, but also listen to the natural world, because it's crying. In our teachings, we say to the four directions, we ask humbly, we ask for their help their assistance so that we can see. We can see to the 7th generation. Can we see that far? That the things that we do today is going to benefit that light. So that the 7th generation can say, these people were honorable people because they heard and they spoke of these words of kindness, hope.
Your Excellency, Your Honor, Mr. Premier, Speaker of the House, members of the legislatures, guests, First Nation citizens. This morning, very briefly, I wanted to talk to you about some of our coat of arms and the calumet or the pipe that you see before you. It's alive, and it's our direct way of being able to speak to the Creator for those things which we want to give thanks for, and those things that we need to speak to, so that we can help share those burdens that we have, and that we're able to carry on with our work and our responsibilities that we've been given. It's also our direct link to the universe that surrounds us, as we pay homage and we pay tribute to all of those things that have come before us, so that we are able to maintain that relationship that was already established for us. The first treaty, you might say, between all living things that were established to keep things in harmony. This morning, we've already done those ceremonies with the pipe to ensure that the day is good, the feelings are good, and a reminder that there is a future that we have here together. And there are responsibilities that we must exercise together. And that one that cannot exercise those responsibilities over the other without having some form of injustice that's taken place. The griffin that's part of your coat of arms symbolizes the equality, symbolizes the justice. And I think our people have watched from the sidelines for many years to watch and wait for the day we would start to talk about that kind of justice and that kind of equality. Not for one group of people, but for all races of people that are bound by the lands that we know as Ontario. So our future direction that we need to see for ourselves is clear. If this is our first opportunity that we've ever had as the First Nations people to stand here and to address people in this House, I think that that's part of a beginning that we can share. And those understandings and those responsibilities that we all have, I think we can share those as well. And so this morning, I guess it's this afternoon already, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your celebrations that you will have for your legislature, your new coat of arms. And remember that as you celebrate, all of those things that you celebrate are ours as well. The land, the resources, the plants, the male, the female, all of those things that the coat of arms symbolizes belong to us as well. And so in the future we must learn how to share those. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would now ask Mr. Robert Watt, the Chief Herald of Canada, to proclaim the letters patent to the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. Mr. Watt.
Your Excellency, Your Honour, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Premier, Mr. O'Neill, Mr. Sterling, Chief Peters, Elder Elijah, members of the Assembly, ladies and gentlemen. This is the proclamation of the letters patent which grants arms under powers held by His Excellency the Governor-General to the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. To all to whom these present shall come, by Robert Douglas Watt, Chief Herald of Canada. Whereas the Honourable David William Warner, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, has expressed, for and on behalf of the Office of the Assembly, the desire that the Assembly be granted armorial bearings by lawful authority in permanent commemoration of the bicentennial of the establishment of the Assembly in 1792. And whereas a warrant was issued on the 15th day of September 1992 by the Herald Chancellor and Secretary to the Governor-General, Judith Ann Larocque, authorizing such a grant. Now know you that pursuant to the authority vested in His Excellency the Right Honourable Ramon John Hnatyshyn, Governor-General of Canada, by virtue of royal letters patent received from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as Queen of Canada, and noting well that Her Majesty has been graciously pleased to accept His Excellency's recommendation to grant the Royal Crown as a particular honour, I, the Chief Herald of Canada, do hereby grant and assign the arms, the banner, and the badges which are more fully described in these letters patent, and which are now entered in Volume 2, page 193 of the Public Register of Arms, Flags, and Badges of Canada, to be borne and used forever hereafter by the Legislative Assembly of Ontario on shields, seals, regalia, or otherwise, according to the law of arms of Canada. Sachez que, conformément à l'autorité dont est investi son Excellence le très honorable.
Now know that, pursuant to the authority vested in His Excellency the Right Honourable Ramon John Hnatyshyn, a member of the Queen's Privy Council for Canada, Chancellor of Principal Companion of the Order of Canada, one of Her Majesty's Council learned in the law, Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief, to exercise the armorial prerogative under Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as Queen of Canada by letters patent and the terms of my commission of office, and in Volume 2, page 93 of the Register of Coats of Arms of Canada, to be used perpetually by the Legislative Assembly of the Province of Ontario on shields, seals, pursuant to the heraldic rights of Canada.
My hand and the seal of the Canadian Heraldic Authority on the 29th day of September, in the year of our Lord, 1992, in the third year of His Excellency's service in office, and in the 41st year of Her Majesty's reign, being the 125th anniversary of Confederation. And on these presents, His Excellency is pleased to place his signature on the occasion of his presentation of them, this 26th day of April, 1993, in the Legislative Assembly of the Province of Ontario, Queen's Park, in the City of Toronto. Your Excellency.
Pleasure to present these to you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Members and guests, it is now my honour to present to you His Excellency, the Right Honourable Ramon John Hnatyshyn, Governor-General of Canada, to address the Assembly. Your Excellency.
Your Honor, Mr. Premier, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Elijah, Chief Peters, Honourable Leader of Her Majesty's Official Opposition, Leader of the Third Party, members of the Provincial Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs. Today we celebrate the grant of arms to this legislature, and in doing so, pay tribute to a body that has shaped a great province in a great country. In the past 2 centuries, Ontario has moved from being a colonial outpost to becoming a dynamic province, from the reign of a few to the rule of the majority. 200 years ago, this body met for the first time at what is now Niagara-on-the-Lake. A century later, provincial parliamentarians met for the very first time in this room. This province is a microcosm of Canadian history and development. Ontario's wilderness, like much of Canada, was the historic home of the First Nations. Later, its great shield and rich valleys, its natural wealth and beauty, challenged the world's explorers and settlers. Immigrants came in the early days by the thousands, and more recently in the millions, seeking peace and freedom. The dignitaries, members, and families in the chamber today remind us of modern Ontario's rich diversity. They speak many languages, come from many cultures, hold many kinds of beliefs, enhance society with their many talents and interests, experiences and aspirations. And the presence of Aboriginal peoples in the gallery, descendants of this province's founders, adds honor to the occasion. From medicine to the media, from telecommunications to philosophy, from business to agriculture, Ontario's outstanding men and women have changed the world. Among those who were brought up here, or who came to claim this as their home, are Banting and Best and their colleagues, who gave new life and hope to diabetics. Marshall McLuhan helped all mankind understand the new world created by technology, and in doing so, changed our ability to live in it. Glenn Gould used his own knowledge and passion for music to enrich millions of lives. John Polanyi, lauréat d'un prix Nobel, a permis aux scientifiques.
That's a laureate of a Nobel Prize, allowed scientific people to understand chemical transformations. Norval Morisseau added a new life and had as an inspiration all the Aboriginal world. Dr. Emily Stoll was the first Canadian woman to be a doctor in this province. Her daughter, Anna Stoll-Dolan, was the first woman to get a diploma in medicine. And those remarkable doctors changed the life of all the women in this province.
Ontario is home to outstanding industries and institutions. It is the telecommunications centre of Canada, its financial heart, its English language media core, the preferred destination by an overwhelming majority of newcomers to Canada. This province was created by those who faced challenges with vitality and ingenuity, and who overcame adversity of every kind. It is reasonable, therefore, in this season of hope, to remain confident that these same characteristics will enable the people of today's Ontario to find the economic and personal safety they want and deserve. Certainly the members of this chamber are dealing with some of the most complicated issues the legislature has ever faced. In every sector of our society, people are redefining themselves, their institutions, and their expectations. The global village predicted some years ago by Marshall McLuhan has become a reality, a more difficult reality than many of us might have expected, filled with new economic imperatives and political upheaval. The impact is felt here by all levels of government, by industry, and by individuals. Ontario's traditional respect for differences, exercised within the framework of a democratic society, is a reaffirmation of the value it places on dignity, decency, and generosity. But what do the prospects for the future of this province and the new coat of arms have in common? The answer is that values and history, the past and the future, are the very stuff of which a coat of arms is made. For example, the heraldic symbols being presented today are filled with the story of Ontario. The calumet on the crest is the traditional pipe of the First Peoples, the emblem of spirituality and tribal power, and therefore a particularly meaningful element for the legislature of a province in which Aboriginal peoples have played such a significant role. Today it returns to centre stage for the first time since it appeared on the Great Seal of Upper Canada 200 years ago. The provincial stone, the amethyst, is a reminder of geological treasures. There are references as well to the maple leaf, the trillium, and to the province's contribution to Canada's constitutional monarchy. Surely it is also fitting in this, the first coat of arms ever granted to a Canadian legislature, to feature the two historic maces of this House. One of these maces dates from the earliest sittings of the Assembly in 1792. Both are central emblems of the authorities and responsibilities shared by all members. All of these are intended to strengthen awareness in people everywhere, to recall a proud past. It is meant to act as an inspiration for members of the provincial parliament as they consider and help create the province's future. I speak on behalf of all Canadians when I say how much our good wishes go to you in these important endeavours. I thank you. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for a very gracious speech. Would everyone please rise now for the singing of our national anthem and remain standing for the departure of the Vice-Regal Party?
Praise
That's right.